So we'll proceed with befriending challenges, part 2. As I told you earlier, today we'll be sharing with you two tools to help us to cope with challenges. So the first one is AAM, accept and just move on, the one we already covered. The second related tool is called the 5 mindful vitamins. 5 mindful vitamins. So what are the 5 mindful vitamins? Okay. These are the 5 mindful vitamins. Okay. So the 5 mindful vitamins, this is the concept. Okay. The mindful vitamins are in the form of mantra. Mantra means short verses or coping statements that help us to think wisely. Sorry for the spelling mistake. Think wisely. To think wisely. To think wisely means to think in a more positive, healthy, and helpful ways. They are short verses, coping statements. So what are the 5 coping statements? Okay, number 1 is, what have I learned? Number 2 is, I'm not alone. Number 3 is, it could have been worse. Number 4 is, what can I do? And the last one is, this will also pass. Of course, it doesn't have to be in this sequence. The sequence can be random, not necessary, as I mentioned. So it's very important to remember the 5 coping statements. So as I'm talking, try to remember all 5. You should be able to recall, able to recite the coping statement or the verses even without referring to it. What can I do now? This will also pass. It could have been worse. What have I done? What have I learned? I'm not alone. It could have been worse. What can I do now? This will also pass. I'm not alone. What have I learned? It could have been worse. I'm not alone. What can I do now? Yeah, you should be able to remember by heart and recite it by heart. Okay. So how are we going to apply these coping statements? That will be under the next slide. Okay. Remember, the 5 mindful vitamins are wise coping statements. Wise coping statement. Okay. How to apply the wise coping statements? Well, I'm going to give you examples. Okay. Under the what have I learned? Under what have I learned? Okay. For example, all of us are now facing the COVID pandemic. Okay. We are facing the COVID pandemic. Okay. Applying this principle of what have I learned, okay, one should try to think, something like that. Okay, so we are all facing the COVID pandemic. Is horrible, is bad, is affecting our business, it's causing a lot of stress, anxiety, and depression. But it might not be a bad thing. It might not be a totally bad thing. Well, it's bad. Nobody can deny that pandemic causes a lot of stress, a lot of inconvenience in life. Okay, but it might not be a totally bad thing. So what have I learned? Okay, for example, because of the pandemic, I've learned how to conduct the MindfulGym program using Zoom. Before the pandemic, I never had the experience of, never tried conducting MindfulGym through Zoom. So that is something which I've learned. Okay, so I also learned sometimes having a pandemic might not be a bad thing. Because now over the weekends, I actually have more time to rest. Previously, before the pandemic, over the weekend, I'll be running around to different places to conduct talks. Now I can actually sit at home at my comfort here and just do sharing at home. I can have more time to rest, more time to read, more time to meditate, and more time to reflect and contemplate. So it might not be a totally bad thing. Okay? So that's how we apply wise thinking using the principle of what have I learned? Okay. Let's go to the second one. Okay, under I'm not alone. Okay, under I'm not alone. Okay, so the example will be the situation, the example situation. I'm scared of COVID-19 infection and all the negative side effects. Of course, you're not the only one. I'm also scared of it. All of us have fear related to COVID infection. Okay. So using I'm not alone, the I'm not alone principle, one should try to think, yes, I'm having all this fear, I'm having job insecurity, I'm having financial problem, but I'm not alone. I'm not alone. Your business is no good. My business is also no good. You have family issues. I also got family issues. You have insomnia and panic attack. I also have insomnia and panic attack. You have health conditions and very difficult for you to seek help. There are a lot of people also with a lot of physical conditions have difficulty in seeking help. So we remind ourselves that we are not alone and we can support one another. You are not the only one having the same problem. I also got the same problem. Other people also have the same problem. We can learn from one another. We can support one another. Okay, that's how we can think wisely using the principle of I'm not alone. Okay. Third one, it could have been worse. Okay, how do we apply the principle of it could have been worse to think wisely and cope with changes and challenges in life? Okay, I give an example of nose allergy. I give this example because I often have nose allergy. In fact, for the past 3 weeks, it's been quite bad. I had at least one attack per week, nose allergy. Of course, nose allergy is bad. It's very uncomfortable. Those of you who have a nose allergy, you know what I mean. It's very uncomfortable. Okay. But using the principle it could have been worse, I would think, yeah, nose allergy is bad. But it's worse if I'm down with severe COVID infection. It's worse I end up in ICU. So the nose allergy is nothing. Nothing compared to being infected with COVID, having shortness of breath and continuous cough and end up with ICU. Nose allergy is nothing compared to that. So thinking along, it could have been worse. Another way of doing it is we remind ourselves that besides that means in this situation is the nose allergy or the COVID infection. There are many things which are still okay in my life. I can be having nose allergy, okay, or I can be having a COVID infection, okay. But there are a lot of other things in my life which are still okay. Another example which happens right here, right now, is a rain. Because of the rain, then the internet connection might not be good. So that is something no good, something that you don't like. Okay, but there are many things which are still okay. My computer is still working. The fan is still working. The aircon is still working. The lights are still working. So there are many things which are still okay in my life. Okay, that's how we can think wisely along the principle of it could have been worse. Okay, the next one. Okay, the next one is the mantra, the coping statement of what can I do now? This I already mentioned briefly when I talk about AAM. I'm going to elaborate a little bit more. Okay, so in this principle, we try to remind ourselves, instead of worrying about something, for example, worrying about getting COVID infection, focus on what we can do. Focus on what we can do. Of course, focus on prevention. Okay, what can we do to prevent COVID infection? Okay, we can wear masks. Okay, we can wear double layer of mask. Okay, we can put in the face shield. We can wash our hands regularly. We can go for vaccination. So there are many things that we can do. So instead of worrying, we focus on what we can do. This is very useful advice. Of course, sometimes it's a bit challenging to control our worrying. Just like Sister Amy just now mentioned about the worry about business. That is very natural. That is very normal. We are all human beings. But hopefully, we remind to apply the AAM, do the adjustment, mindful breathing, body stretching, calm down. Okay, so that overcomes the worry. Let the mind calm down, and then we focus on what we can do. Okay, remember when our mind is calm, we are able to perceive more way. The perceptions of resources becomes better. We are able to see more solutions. When we are worrying too much, we are in anxiety, depressive, we can't see solution. Okay. The last one, the last coping statement, the last wise way of thinking is called "this will also pass." Okay. In this coping statement, why tries to think that everything, all the unhappy things that happen in life, all the changes, challenges, and all these things, they are impermanent. They will also pass. Okay, so the pandemic is terrible. I think nobody can deny the fact that the pandemic is terrible. But at the same time, we remind ourselves. Luckily with the pandemic, luckily at least I can still attend the MindfulGym program every week. I can spend time with the MindfulGym Kaki to help to reduce suffering. Of course, there is stress, but at least reduce suffering and remind ourselves slowly but surely it will subside. The pandemic will definitely end one day. It's just a matter of time. Okay, as I said, this is not the first pandemic, and this is not going to be the last pandemic. So remind ourselves slowly but surely things will pass. Remind ourselves it's okay. It will pass. It will pass. It will pass. So this is a very brief explanation of how we can apply the 5 mindful vitamins, which are wise coping statements to help us cope with the changes and challenges in life. Next, let me go a little bit detailed for each mindful vitamin. So I will also go through with you the frequently asked questions, the common misconceptions associated with the 5 mindful vitamins. So I'm going to go through them one by one and share with you a little bit more in depth about the coping statements. Before that, look at this. This COVID vaccine. We can also conceptualize the 5 mindful vitamins as a mental vaccine. We can conceptualize the mindful vitamins as mental vaccine. Okay, so we go for COVID vaccine. The main reason we go for COVID vaccine is for prevention. And most importantly, it prevents us from getting severe COVID infection. Okay, it might not prevent us 100% from getting COVID infection. Okay, but definitely the evidence is very, very strong. This is the unanimous consensus. The vaccine, doesn't matter which brand you take, it definitely helps to prevent severe COVID infection. It minimizes the COVID infection which are severe, which requires hospitalization, which requires ICU admission. Okay, so similarly, we take the 5 mindful vitamin, we apply the 5 mindful vitamin, we try to think wisely so that we don't suffer so much in life. Are we still going to have stress in life? Yes, we are still going to experience stress in life because I have mentioned very, very early in MindfulGym Part 1 itself that the program is not designed to help us to get rid of stress. There's no way we can completely get rid of stress. Even if you're relaxed now, it's going to be temporarily. It's just a matter of time, stress will come back to us again. Okay, so taking the 5 mindful vitamin, practicing MindfulGym doesn't get rid of stress, but it helps us to prevent the stress from becoming suffering. So it buffers the stress. Okay? So this is how the mindful vitamin is like vaccine. Okay. So I'm not alone. Okay. So it's important that when we reflect along the principle, I'm not alone. For example, is I'm having nose allergy. I'm having nose allergy. I'm glad to hear that you also have nose allergy. So got friend. Okay, it's very important that we are thinking in this way, not because I want you to suffer. I'm not happy because you also have nose allergy. Because if possible, I don't want you to have nose allergy as well. If possible, I don't want you to have any form of stress related to the COVID vaccine. The intention of reflecting along this time is not want you to suffer like me. No, that's not the intention. Okay, the intention of reflecting in this way is to help us to reduce the shame and fear of whatever problems we are having. Let me emphasize, the intention is to help us to reduce the shame and fear of whatever problems, changes, and challenges in life. Okay. One very specific example related to the COVID pandemic. Okay. If I were to ask you, how many of you during this MCO, COVID MCO, how many of you, when you stay at home, you have some conflicts with your own family members? Okay. I'm very sure. Well, you can put out a hand, although I cannot see your hand. You can put out your hand electronically using the Zoom system. I'm sure there are a lot of you who have similar experience. During MCO, you stay at home, you have some conflict with your family members. So thinking that, oh, I have this conflict, you also have conflict, other people also have conflict with family member. This is a very powerful antidote, antidote to the feeling of shame. So if we can share, if we can remember that, this is a common problem, all of us have these issues, these challenges, then we don't feel so shameful. We also don't feel so fearful, because without shame, we're able to share it, we're able to get ideas from other people. In fact, sometimes in the process of sharing itself, sharing and knowing that we are not alone, that itself reduces suffering. And also besides feeling better, in the process of sharing, we also get ideas from other people on how to overcome the whatever problems we are facing. So that's one frequently asked question on I'm not alone. Some people they got the meaning wrong. They thought I'm not alone means, oh, I want you to suffer together with me. I suffer, you also suffer. Oh, I'm glad that you suffer as well. I feel better that you suffer. It's not that way. Some people also, when I talk about I'm not alone, thinking wisely along the principle I'm not alone, some people will say, they will tell me, some of my patients in my clinic, they say, doctor, okay, I get your point. I understand the meaning of not alone. So I know I'm not alone. Other people are not alone. But how come other people can cope? How I cannot cope? Yes, you got this problem. I also got this problem. But how come other people can cope? How come I'm only one having depression? I'm the only one having panic attack. I'm the one having anxiety. First of all, you may not realize you are not the only one having panic attack. You're not the only one having insomnia. You're not the only one suffering from depression. It's very often when we are suffering alone, we think we are really alone. Actually, we are not alone. If we bother to talk to other people, we actually realize that we are really not alone. So sometimes we need to reach out to other people, talk to other people, socialize. Then only we truly understand that we are not alone. Okay. Even though if we are not alone, and some people can cope and we cannot cope, this is also very normal, because all of us has different strength and weakness. Other people may be good in coping in this problem. Okay, they may not be good in coping other problem. I mean, good in certain things, I may not be good in other things. So that's very normal. So we are not alone. Some people can cope better, some people cannot cope so good. Some people can cope well in A, they cannot cope well in B. You can cope well in B, you cannot cope well in A. So that is very, very normal. I got a nice song to share with you. So when I take my mindful vitamins or I'm not alone, I like to either sing or listen to this song. There's a song called You Are Not Alone by Michael Jackson. It's a very, very nice song to accompany this mantra of not alone. Later, I will send to you in the MindFulGym Telegram group. So as you reflect along this mantra, listen to this song. You Are Not Alone. It's a nice song. Okay. Next, mindful vitamin. What can I do? What can I do? Yeah. So what are the common challenges that we can have with this? Okay. For those who worry a lot, for those who ruminate, some people, they like to ruminate. They think and think and think and think, and they ask why. It's very important that we focus on what we can do instead of asking why. Focus on what we can do instead of asking why. Actually, there are two types of asking why. Okay, two types of asking why. The first type is more of the going round and round, the rumination why, like why, like why got COVID one, why people can cope, why I cannot cope, why got COVID, why. This kind of rumination why, it goes round and round and round and round and round and round. It feels that there's no way out. The second type of asking why is a more wise way of asking why. It's asking why with the intention to solve problem. Asking why to solve problem. And this one has the feeling of thinking, go round, and then out. So you go round, think, and then you're up. So it's very important to differentiate these two types of why questioning. The first one is just go around, no solution. The second one, it goes around and then there's a solution. So in my clinic, I tend to see patients who are of the first type, who ask why, but it's not a real question. It's more of a rumination, just asking why. So as an antidote to that, I suggest instead of asking why, do the mindful gym exercises, mindful breathing, mindful body stretching, EFT tapping, relax the body, calm the mind, and then focus on what can I do. Focus on what can we do, what can I do. Focus on what we can do. I know COVID is horrible. COVID is terrible. MCO is bad. We don't deny that. Okay, but focus on what we can do. Okay, the things which are not within our control, those who are not within our power to change, leave it. Don't ask why. Focus on what can we do. Many things we can do on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, little things that we can do. Focus on those things that we can do. Because another one related to this, when we ask what can I do, not necessarily that we have to do everything on our own. I mean, we got mindful gym kakis, we got friends. Okay? But most importantly, we must be willing to seek help, willing to reach out, willing to seek help. And that's very important. Okay, and one of the hindrance, one of the things that deter us from seeking help is because of this mindset that we are alone. We feel very shameful. We feel that we are the only one having this problem. That stops us from reaching out. That stops us from talking to other people. When we don't reach out, we don't talk to other people, we don't get ideas on what can we do. Okay? So I hope you see that the mindful vitamins, they are interrelated. Even though when I teach, I explain one by one, but actually they're all interrelated. So that's on what can I do. I got a nice story to share with you related to what can I do. A very nice story. In fact, I got a story and also a song. Okay, the song I'll show you later. I'll tell you the story first. This story about a donkey. Donkey, shake it off, step up. Okay. So in the story, once upon a time, there was a donkey. Unfortunately, this donkey fell into a well. So the donkey tried to climb up, but unfortunately, the well was very deep. The donkey can't climb up. So donkey asked for help. Unfortunately, nobody came to help. Okay. Until a farmer passed by. But very unluckily, this farmer is a very wicked farmer. Instead of helping the donkey to get out from the well, the farmer actually took a spade and spade in more soil, throw in more soil to bury the donkey. Okay? But luckily, this donkey must be a very mindful donkey. The donkey knows how to cope with this stress, how to cope with the changes and challenges. So the donkey used a very interesting method, and this a very wise and interesting method. And this method is called shake it off, step up. Okay, what does shake it off, step up mean? Okay, whenever the farmer spade and throw in more soil into the well, of course the sand, the soil landed on the donkey's back. Okay, so donkey will shake it off, shake it off. So the soil or the sand will fall to the ground of the well. Okay, so you pour more soil, the donkey will shake it off, and then the soil will fall to the ground of the well. So after some time, the level of the ground, the ground become higher and higher because you're putting more sand, more soil inside. The level, the ground will rise higher and higher. So after some time, it almost reached the top part of the well. So the donkey could easily just step up and manage to get up. So this is a very nice story related to what can I do. So very often in life, we are facing the same situation like the donkey. We meet with changes and challenges. We meet nasty people in life, okay? Like the wicked farmer. Okay? And very often, we can't change the farmer. We can't change the farmer. We can't change the nasty people. We can't change the nasty situation in life. Okay, but bear in mind, we cannot change the external circumstances. We can change the internal circumstances. Okay, the internal circumstances is shake it off, step up, and in real life, it refers to what can I do. Right? We can't change the farmer. We can't change COVID. We can't change many things in life. Okay? A lot of external things we can't change, but there are a lot of internal things that we can change. Our mindset we can change. We can practice MindFulGym to calm the body. We can change that. Okay? We can come up with creative solution that's within our control. To reflect that we are not alone, that is within our control. To reach out to people to get help, that is within our control. Focusing on what can I do, that's within our control. Okay, so focus on what can I do. Shake it off, step up. There's a nice song that comes with that. So when I think of this story, when I use this story to remind ourselves of the principle of what can I do, I also like to listen to this song. Shake It Off by Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift. So a song on Shake It Off, a story on Shake It Off as well. So just nice to remind us on the principle of what can I do. Right? If you can't find the song, it's okay. I will send the song and also the story to the MindFulGym Telegram group. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so the next principle is it could have been worse. It could have been worse. I would like to remind all of you, including myself, there's a proper timing to apply this. It could have been worse. So timing of taking the vaccine or timing of consuming the vitamins also got to be wise as well. So as I reflect in my life in dealing with all the changes and challenges, I find that this vitamin or this vaccine is usually more effective, more potent after the incident. During the incident, usually it's not helpful. Imagine that the example I gave you, my car broke down. Imagine you come to me, imagine you're inside my car and you tell me on the spot, it could have been worse, I think you either get a tight slap from me, or if I don't do anything, I can restrain myself, I will have a lot of frustration and resentment. So the timing has to be correct. Usually this works better after the incident, after we have regained our emotional balance, after we have calmed down. After that, when we reflect back, then it's useful. Okay, for example, on that day, at least my car broke down. I mean, the car is a material thing. At least I didn't break down. Okay, I didn't fall sick, or my mother didn't break down. My mom is elderly. At least my mom wasn't sick at that time. So the car breaking down is nothing compared to me breaking down or my mom breaking down in terms of physical and mental health. But to think like that usually only works after the incident. When we reflect and we retrospect, usually it works. So timing has to be correct. So we got to practice the mindfulness, with kindness, with wisdom, wisdom. Do it the right time. That's under it could have been worse. Okay. Okay, next one is number 4. This shall also pass. Okay, so this is reminding ourselves, no matter what challenges, difficulties we have, and remind ourselves, this will pass, this will pass, this will pass. Okay, this one can be combined with the EFT tapping. Remember in one of the sessions we learned about EFT tapping. So we can apply this together with the EFT tapping. So if we are tapping, we can say, it's okay, this will also pass. It's okay, it will also pass. It's okay, it will also pass. It's okay, it will also pass. It will pass, it will pass. Remember the EFT tapping we learned in MindFulGym part 1? We can use this coping statement, this affirmation together with the EFT tapping. So that is an extra tip on how to apply this shall also pass. Another piece of extra information is related to the Google What Went Well exercise that we learned last week. Remember, we have an exercise called Google What Went Well. Okay? And this can be practiced together with that. So when the present moment is pleasant, let's say our life is smooth, things go according to our plan. When the present moment is pleasant, then we apply the Google What Went Well exercise. We practice gratitude workout. We collect all the good things. Like what we did in the MindfulGym Telegram group. So we Google the good things according to the gratitude card. So the present moment is pleasant, we do gratitude workout. When the present moment is unpleasant, when there are changes and challenges, we learn to be kindful to ourselves. How to be kindful? Is the AAM and the mindful vitamin. Okay, I repeat, when the present moment is pleasant, nice, we do gratitude workout. When the present moment is unpleasant, we do kindfulness practice. Kindness practice means all the exercises. Butterfly heart, EFT tapping, mindful breathing, AAM, the mindful vitamin. Remind ourselves this shall also pass. That helps you cope with the unpleasantness. Okay, next one, last one. Okay, what have I learned? What have I learned? So it's common to have problems in life, common to have challenges in life. So after we have coped with the problems, it's important to ask, what have I learned from the incident? What have I learned from the problem? What have I learned from the changes and challenges? In a way, learning from something from it is our way to honor, a way for us to honor and appreciate the unpleasant experience. Okay. This one, I have a story to share with you. Okay, a story related to what have I learned. Okay. The name of this story is called Everything Happens for a Good Purpose. Everything happens with a good purpose. Okay. Once upon a time, there was a king. The king and his advisor, and they went for hunting. So hunting was one of the hobby of this king. Okay. Unfortunately, I don't know what happened. Instead of shooting at the animal when they're hunting, the king actually accidentally shot his right toe, so got injured. Shot on the injured. So because of the injury, they asked the advisor, what do you think? Okay, the advisor said, well, everything happened with a good purpose. So the advisor only got one advice only. Everything you say, everything happened with a good purpose. So the king was very angry, sent him to the jail. Sent to the jail. When the king recovered from the injury, the king went for hunting again. Because that was his hobby. Recovered already, no more pain, went for hunting again. This time, even more bad luck, because he was caught by a group of man-eating tribes, cannibals, man-eating tribe. So they caught the king and they wanted to sacrifice him to the god, sacrifice to the god. So they tie him upside down and they're doing the rituals, as they were dancing and singing, suddenly the head of the tribe, they said, this one tak boleh makan, cannot eat, this one king cannot eat. Okay, why cannot eat? Reason is the king had an imperfect body because of injury, so he cannot eat. Cannot eat, So they released the king. So now the king actually realized that the advisor was very wise. The advisor said everything happens with a good purpose. So it's true because of the injury. The king escaped being sacrificed to the god. So when the king returned to the palace, the king quickly went to the prison and released the advisor. The king was very grateful to the advisor and so appreciate the wisdom of the advisor. But before the king left, the king had one more question to ask. There's still something he wasn't very convinced. So he asked the advisor, okay, I truly agree with you. Everything happened with a good purpose. So the injury happened with a good purpose. If not, I were eaten up by those people. Not eaten up, will be sacrificed to the god. But there's something I still don't understand. Okay, I sent you to the prison. You were suffering in the prison. What good did it do to you? The one I don't understand. You say everything happens with good purpose. I sent you to the prison. Oh, good for me, but it wasn't good for you, isn't it? Then the advisor said, oh, that happened with a good purpose as well. You know why? Because if the advisor was not in the prison, the advisor would have joined the king for the hunting again. And he would have been eaten eaten and sacrificed, sacrificed to the god and eaten by them because he has a perfect body, not like the king with the injury. Okay, so this is a very nice story to remind us that everything happens with a good purpose. So any problems in life, changes in life, challenges in life, difficulty in life, we remind ourselves everything happens with a good purpose. Everything that is a lesson. There's always something that we can learn. There's always something that we can learn. Okay, so nice story related to this. And for this story, also I have a song to share with you. So when I reflect on this story, I actually also listen to this song. This is a very, very nice song that I must share with you. There's a song called Will You Teach Me? Will You Teach Me? Very, very, very nice song, very soothing, very inspirational. Okay, again, I will send to you through the MINDFULGym Telegram group. Okay, when have I learned? Will you teach me? Okay, I'm coming to almost the end of the presentation. Okay, let us revisit my car breakdown, the incident again, and see how I apply the 5 multivitamin. Earlier, I shared with you how I apply the AAM, accept, adjust, and move on for my car breakdown incident. Now, I will further share how I applied the 5 multivitamin. Of course, what can I do? I already shared with you. At that time, after my mind calmed down, there were a few options. Okay, I perceive there are more resources. So I can call the Alliance Assist, I can call Grab, I can call my friend. Of course, weighing the pros and cons, I decided to call my friend. Okay, better that way because the afternoon have to conduct MINDFULGym. Okay, after the MINDFULGym program, I called the Alliance Assist. Then they came to bring my car to the workshop. Okay, and it was fixed on the next day because it was Sunday. The shop wasn't open, so the car was sent to the workshop. They only repaired it on the Sunday. So it's focusing on what can I do. What have I learned? Okay, because Monday still have to go to work. My car wasn't ready. So I have to solve the problem. I still have to go to work. Okay, so I learned. Okay, I learned how to call for Grab. Okay, how to use Grab. Call for Grab. Install the Grab app. Call the Grab for Grab service. I went to work in C.O.V.I.D Medical Center using Grab for the first time. So I used the beginner's mind. So it was a nice experience. How to install the Grab app, how to call Grab, how to wait for the service. It was a different experience, a beginner's mind experience. Okay. Okay. And then I also learned. After that, I learned that actually there are more than one ways to go to C.O.V.I.D Medical Center. In fact, after that incident, I discovered an alternative route to go to C.O.V.I.D Medical Center, which has less traffic and can actually reduce the traveling time. So if not because of that incident, I won't go and consider all these things, Because of the incident, I bothered to find out different ways to go in the hospital, different route to go to the hospital. And I'm not alone, okay? So later I found out from my car technician, actually the problem was there's a rubber. There was some problem with the rubber in the gearbox. So I learned that I'm not alone. The car technician told me it's a very common problem. I never encountered that problem. So I thought I'm the only one having the problem. But later I found actually it's a very, very common problem. Then I talked to my neighbor, and my neighbor also said it's a very common problem. So the car technician said it's a common problem. My neighbor also said it's a common problem. So I don't feel alone. It could be worse. As I said, the car broke down. I didn't break down. My family members didn't break down. The material thing breaks down is nothing compared to human being breakdown when we are sick. Okay, of course that was the only thing that went wrong. I mean, the other things went well. I still conducted my MINDFULGym. Okay, my friend responded to me. Okay, my friend came to fetch me. I managed to go home. I managed to go to the temple to conduct the MINDFULGym program. There were a lot of things that went well. It would have been worse if all those things didn't go well. Of course, this will also already passed. This happened, I think 1 or 2 years ago. Okay, so it's already over. So do I hate that incident? No, I don't hate the incident because I can use that incident for teaching purpose. Again, under what have I learned? So that's an example how I apply the AAM and the 5 multivitamin in dealing with changes and challenges. In this case, the car breaking down incident. Okay, last slide. So we have heard about the 5 mindful vitamin, which basically are the 5 wise way of thinking to help us cope with the changes and challenges in life. Okay, so this last slide is to help you to remember. So you already understood. I hope you got a rough idea of what the 5 mindful vitamins are, and you have some idea on how to apply. Okay, now is how to remember. How to remember the 5 mindful vitamin. Okay, one of our MindFulGym graduates actually came up with this formula to remember the 5 mindful vitamin. Okay, so this formula is do, law, pass. And try to remember do, law, pass. In a way, when we are having challenges, we relate challenges with law, trouble, challenges, law, trouble. Do, law, pass. Okay. Do here means what can I do? So the first do here, what can I do? That's one of the 5 mindful items. What can I do? Instead of worrying, ask. Instead of worrying excessively, ask, what can I do? Okay. Then law, L-A-W stands for L-A-W, law, L-A-W. L is what have I learned? Okay. A is I'm not alone. I'm not alone. And W is worse. It could have been worse. So L-A-W, law could be worse. Okay. Then pass is this shall also pass. So it is one of the ways that you can use to remind ourselves to think wisely when we are facing the changes and challenges in life. Okay, with that, I will end my presentation. Thank you very much. Jasmine, shall we proceed with the Q&A? And also maybe sharing by the graduates as well. Yeah.
The first question is, Dr. Pang, by referring to it could have been worse, do you mean that I am not suffering enough?
No, that's not my meaning. Thanks for bringing this up. That's why it's important to understand the intended meaning behind the phrase it could have been worse. No, it doesn't mean that you're not suffering enough. It doesn't mean that. Okay, that's not the intended meaning. Okay, there are few ways to understand it could be worse. The one is the maybe you can think like it's like, well, it's not to say it's not bad. You know, it's bad. My car broke down. It was bad. I mean, nobody wants that to happen. It was bad. Okay, but at the same time, the car broke down. There's only one incident in that 24 hours on that day. But there were other things which were okay. There were other things which are okay. Okay? So we are doing a comparison. If everything went wrong on that day, of course, it could have been worse. But the fact that only one thing didn't go well that day, but there were other things that were well. So it wasn't that bad. So it's a way of thinking to buffer the stress, to buffer the gravity of problem. It doesn't mean that you have not suffered enough. That's not the right way of thinking. Yeah.
Thanks, Dr. Pang. The next question is, can mindful vitamins be applied to people who have chronic illness? The patient is in the challenge. It is not timely to apply some of it. How or what to apply?
Yeah, you see the AAM and the 5 mindful vitamin, to me, they are considered quite advanced MindFulGym tools. That's why it's placed in lesson 7. I'll suggest if the person doesn't have the basic in mindfulness training, and if the person is having chronic illness, it is better to start with the basic MindFulGym tools like body stretching and breathing. It's easier to apply. Okay, but if you are the one having chronic illness because you attended the MindFulGym program, you already have the basic. That is possible. It's possible to apply the 5 mindful vitamin even though we are sick, even though we have chronic illness. It can be applied.
Today's topic actually is my most favorite topic that I really benefited from it. Despite all the other topics that help me to relax and calm my mind and the body. Okay, because often in life, as what you say, there is a stress in life. We cannot get rid of it. Similarly, there are also challenges in life, especially for dealing with uncertainties. So many of times, today's topic really helped me to serve the storm better, despite in challenging situations. So I think through this AAM and my mindful vitamins, it's good that whenever we encounter challenges or stress, always remember to pick it up and try to apply in our situations or problems. I also learned through we have to accept sometimes not all the problems there are solutions. Okay, the solutions might not be able to get it now, but you will never know the solution will come one day, and you will have the chance or opportunity to realize things really happen with good purpose. That's all, Dr. Kang. Thanks.
I got one more point, extra point to share. Even things are not getting better. We can still always learn to cope better. Actually, I heard of this quote. I forgot who said this. I find it's a very, very meaningful quote. You know, it says that things may not get better, but we can always learn to cope better. Things may not get better, but we can always learn to cope better.
Hi, this is C.O.V.I.D. What I do with the MINDFULGym, because this is a very good opportunity because we are doing online. So I actually get my kids to sit with me at least the first hour. Since the beginning until now, this is the most debatable session that I have with my kid, which is very good. We talk a lot about the AAM. I think it's very, for me, today is very relatable to my 3 kids. Purely because now, you know, they are supposed to be with friends, they're supposed to develop on social skills and learning things from feels and touch. And now they are just looking audio and visual without touching. I think the I would say it's rather unhealthy way of learning and coping with life. So today we talk about a lot about the AAM. Yeah, so it was very good session today because it allows my kids to understand, you know, and the tools to cope, especially using the word AAM. I really like about the do law pass, because actually honestly the last half an hour I was trying to remember, and because of this easy method it makes me to remember the 5 vitamins faster, and it's something that I will of course again discuss with my kids later. Thank you very much.
Home practice, so one of the things you can practice is to memorize the 5 statements by heart. After this, memorize the statement by heart, close the slide, close your notes, and try to recall. So the 5 mindful vitamins are number 1, like this, number 2, like this, number 3, like this, number 4, like this, number 5, like this. Memorize by heart. Without referring, you should be able to recite. Recite all the 5 wise coping statements. That's one of the home practice. Okay. And then, whenever you're having challenges, for this coming week, try to apply the AAM and 5 vitamin. Okay. Of course, if you don't have problems in life, you don't have to go and dig problems, not necessary. Okay. But if there are problems, and not necessarily has to be big problems, can be just small problems, you know. It could be the phone is not working, or internet is not working, or the lights are not working. It can be small problems. Start. In fact, better to start with small problems rather to start with huge problems because we are practicing. So any little changes, challenges, problems, difficulties, try to apply the AAM and the 5 mindful vitamin. Maybe just a recap. AM stands for accept, adjust, and move on. Accept means acknowledge that we have the problem. Acknowledge is a problem. Adjust is practicing all the MindfulGym tools, mindful breathing, body stretching, EFT tapping, butterfly hug, to relax the body, calm the mind, to cool. Okay. Then move on. Move on is to solve whatever problems we have. Solve whatever problems we have, and bear in mind that all of us have certain purpose in life. We have certain goals in life. So we try to move on to achieve whatever goals we identify in line with our purpose. So that is moving on. Focus on what we can do to achieve the goals in line with the purpose. That's AM. You can also conceptualize the 5 mindful vitamin is an extension of